Faster my good evening and welcome to the Max Radio Folk Show with me, John Barker, playing you the best in folk and news music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world. Yes, it's that song again, the Bonny Light Horseman. This is by a band called Bonny Light Horseman and an album, Bonny Light Horseman. Is this the best version? Quite possibly.
Bonaparte, you're the cause of my woe. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he did go. Broken hearted I wander, broken hearted I'll remain. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he was slain. And if I was some small bird, and if I had wings to fly, I would fly over the ocean where my own true love does lie. I would fly over the ocean and I'd light upon the plain where my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he was slain. Oh, Napoleon Bonaparte, you're the cause of my woe. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he did go. Broken hearted I wander, broken hearted I remain. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he was slain. Her maid as she flies, tell me where in this wide world is my own true love, she cries. And where in this wide world is there one who can compare with my Bonny Light Horseman who was slain in the war? Oh, Napoleon Bonaparte, you're the cause of my woe. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he did go. Broken hearted I wander, broken hearted I'll remain. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he was slain. Oh, Napoleon Bonaparte, you're the cause of my woe. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he did go. Broken hearted I wander, broken hearted I'll remain. Since my Bonny Light Horseman in the war he was slain.
The wonderfully distinctive vocals of Anais Mitchell leading that version of Bonny Light Horseman by the American trio that have that same name. That's the third version of that song I've played you over the last few weeks. Is there more to come? We'll see. Here's a track called Owlets by Freya Ray from a new album called Divergence, which is a project led by her on flute, whistles and clarinet. So that was a new track called Owlets by Freya Ray, and I noticed when I was looking at Freya's website that she has toured and recorded albums with Manx music group Berlin Jerk, and so I'll play something by them in a moment. But first, here's a track from the new album by Christina Alden and Alex Patterson, who played at the Institute recently. The album's called Safe Travels, and this song could well be about some of the island residents, the mountain hare.
This landscape is changing to a tawny shade of brown. Here on the old earth now snow has left the ground, but winter runs deep through these bones. A white head stands alone, where light is fading over trees far below. Down in the hollow where the red fox roams, in tunnels buried deep long ago, hunting wild hares in the snow. Where winter comes around, I'll be chasing the weather, chasing the weather. Where winter comes around, I'll be homebound. The pale moon rises over hills of blue, like the ghost of winter returns too soon. His brown eyes keep watching the night, wearing a winter coat of white. Oh, howling wind can cool through these pines, I sing so softly of days left behind. These hills keep on changing like the sea, from summer to winter to spring. When winter comes around, I'll be chasing the weather, chasing the weather. When winter comes around, I'll be homebound. Oh, bury me deep and bury me low. Return these feet to cold and snow, dancing on uplands in light, hidden in a veil of white. When winter comes around, I'll be chasing the weather, chasing the weather. When winter comes around, I'll be homebound. When winter comes around, I'll be chasing the weather, chasing the weather. When winter comes around, I'll be homebound. When winter comes around, I'll be chasing the weather, chasing the weather. When winter comes around, I'll be homebound.
So as I said, Freya Ray, who I played just before that lovely track by Christina and Alex, played in the band Berlin Jag, which was brought together by Becky Hurst to perform the traditional Manx music she grew up with, as well as her own compositions. I'm assuming that Becky and Freya were on that same folk degree at Newcastle University a few years ago, along with our friend Dan Walsh actually. He was there with them. Dan's coming in September to play at the Institute again. And joining Freya and Becky in the band were Alistair Paul, who I'm looking forward to seeing at Saltburn Folk Festival again, along with Amy Leach in a couple of months' time, and also Baran player Callum Younger. Here's a track from their album, which was released in 2016, Seamount, and it's Iran Nene. Raised on the outskirts of Glasgow with roots in the west of Ireland, Stiofan O'Treabhair is a fusion vocalist, guitarist, bouzoukiist, reinterpreting Celtic traditions. He studied with that great guitarist Tony McManus, and his debut single is an arrangement of the W.B. Yeats ballad The Song of the Wandering Angus. And here it is.
I went down to the Hazelwood because a fire was in my head. I cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moths like stars were flickering out, I hooked a berry to a thread and caught a little silver trout. When I laid it on the floor, I knelt to blow the fire aflame. When something rustled on the floor and someone called me by my name, it had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran. And faded in the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she has gone and kiss her lips and hold her hand and walk among long dappled grass and pluck till time and times are done. The silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun.
followed Stiofan O'Treabhair with the Dubliners and the Fermoy Lassies, and of course Sporting Paddy was that last tune. That's from 1967, a drop of the hard stuff. Now, a while ago I played you a track from the album Nightjar, recently released by Liz Overs. Here's another one, Honeysuckle on the Vine. Next up is a well-known song, Bonny Ship the Diamond, and this version's by Shepherd, Spires and Watson. That's Pete Shepherd, Tom Spires and Arthur Watson. They are Scottish singers who also play melodeon, fiddle and whistle, and in their lives they've known many of the Scottish source singers and have a huge repertoire of traditional songs. Tom, who plays fiddle, and Arthur, who plays whistle, were members of the respected Aberdeen-based group The Gauges, and after the trio enjoyed each other's company at sessions, they formalised in 2003 for an appearance at Whitby Folk Week. Martin Carthy has said their way of doing the songs has developed into something very interesting indeed, as again and again they give an object lesson into how to accompany song. So here are Shepherd, Spires and Watson with Bonny Ship the Diamond.
The diamond, it's a ship, my lads, for Davis Straits is bound. The key, it is a garnished, we bonny lasses around. Captain Gibbon gives command to sail the ocean wide. For the sun it never sets, my lads, nor darkness dim the sky. Say be cheerful, my lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond goes, a-fishing for the whale. Along the quay at Aberdeen, the lassies scan around. Their shawls a put about them, their satyrs running down. Then I greet my bonny lassie, though ye've been left behind. The rose'll grow on Greenland's ice afore I change my mind. Say be cheerful, my lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond goes, a-fishing for the whale. Best wishes to the Greenland fleet and a the whaling trade, and likewise the sailor lads for earn their daily bread. They wear the trousers o' the white and the jackets o' the blue. When they get back to Aberdeen, they'll find sweethearts anew. Say be cheerful, my lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond goes, a-fishing for the whale. Say jovial it will be the day when the Greenland men come hame. We ships that's full of ile, my lads, and money to their names. They'll mak the cradle for to rock and the blankets for to tear. And ilka lass in Aberdeen cry Hesheba, me dear. Say be cheerful, my lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond goes, a-fishing for the whale. Here's a health unto the Hercules and another to the Jane. A health unto the Bonny Cord and the Diamond Ship of Fame. A health to Captain Gibbon and a' the Diamond's crew. A health to every bonny lass that's got a heart that's true. Say be cheerful, my lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond goes, a-fishing for the whale.
Excellent stuff there from Shepherd, Spires and Watson. Now our friend Will Pound keeps in touch and he's hoping to come back and play at the Institute next year, 2026, along with Jen Butterworth. But he is part of another duo, and that's with classically trained percussionist Delia Stevens. And they produced some really interesting work, including the duo performing Host Planet Suite. There are several new bits of music around at the moment from the duo. Here's one released not too long ago called Larking. As always, fantastic musicianship from Will Pound and Delia Stevens. If you search for Stevens and Pound, you may well find videos of them performing Host's Planet Suite. It really is quite something. Here's another track from the Sing Yonder 2 album that accompanies the songbooks, produced by Carl Sinfield, which are working through the Roud Index of traditional songs. Look for Sing Yonder on Bandcamp. This is The Demon Lover, performed by Kath and Phil Tyler. They play Anglo-American folk using the banjo, guitar and voice and fiddle. Kath was a member of the band Cordelia's Dad in the 1990s when she lived in Massachusetts. Phil's from Newcastle upon Tyne and has played in various folk, rock and ceilidh bands over the years. like that version of The Demon Lover, perhaps better known as The House Carpenter, and it's by Kath and Phil Tyler from the Sing Yonder 2 album. I was listening to Plankstee's album After the Break, which was released in 1979 the other day. I had forgotten all about this lovely song, The Ramblin' Sula. I'm going to play you something else from the album next week as well.
And landed in headquarters. The colonel fell for a pretty little girl, a farmer's only daughter. The general bet £5,000 the colonel wouldn't dress up in a beggar's gown. And she'll travel the world, go round and round, will she go with a rambling shuler? Oh, the colonel started out next day, dressed in a beggar's clothing. It wasn't long till he found his way to the farmer's lowly dwelling. Oh, farmer, shelter me for the night, I sleep in your barn until daylight. Take pity on the beggar's awful plight, God help all rambling shulers. Oh, the farmer says the night is wet, you can come to the kitchen fire. The colonel says to the serving maid, it's you I do admire. Will you leave them all and come with me, leave them all a tree. What a lusty beggar you would be, away with the rambling shuler. And the farmer and his servants all, they fell into loud laughter, when who came tripping down the stairs but the farmer's only daughter. She two blue eyes like the morning skies, soon as the beggar he did her spy. She barely caught his rambling eyes, she'll be mine, says the rambling shuler. And the farmer and his servants all, they went out to the byre. He put his arm around her waist as they sat by the kitchen fire. He put his hand upon her knee, unto her gave kisses three. Says she, how dare you make so free, and it's you but the rambling shuler. Between two sacks and a winnow cloth, for fear that he'd do harm. But at 12 o'clock that very night, she came to the barn, she was dressed in white. The beggar rose in great delight, she's mine, says the rambling shuler. And he threw up his beggar's clothes, he threw them against the wall. He stood the bravest gentleman that was amongst them all. Will you look at my locks of golden hair, under the sooty old hat I wear? I'm a colonel old, I do declare, and there's none but the rambling shuler. And I wouldn't for £100 that you and I would be found here. Will you travel around the whole night long, and go with the rambling shuler? Oh, it's up to the gentleman's house they've gone, great is the wager he has won. Salute them both with the pipe and the drum, she's away with the rambling shuler.
Now, July turns out to be a great month for live music on the Isle of Man, especially of the rootsy variety. Of course, there are the usual sessions taking place, so there'll be O'Donnell's on Wednesday night in Douglas, there'll be the Mitre in Ramsey on Friday night, both of those starting about 8:45. There will be a Sunday afternoon session, but I'm not sure where that one is yet, but I'm sure you can find out by looking on social media. And in addition to those, On Wednesday the 2nd of July at the Erin Arts Centre as part of the Manannan Festival, the wonderful Lisa Knapp and Jerry Diver are performing. I've played lots of their music on the show in the past and I'll play something by them next week. On the 12th of July at the Institute, that's a Saturday, Max Debonardi and Veronica Suburgia are coming back. They're the Italian duo who play American roots and blues music and are really, really entertaining. A week later, on the 19th of July, UK singer-songwriter Joe Martin is performing at the Institute. Tickets for both of those gigs can be found if you follow the links on the Institute's Facebook page. And then, of course, between Monday the 21st and Sunday the 27th in Peel, or at least mostly in Peel, it's in Cruniac, starting with sessions in Noah Bakehouse on Monday lunchtime and Rura playing at the Centenary Centre in the evening. There's wonderful music throughout the week, so look at the Incruniac website to find out details. Or indeed listen back to last week's show, where Chloe and Woolley and Joe Cullister tell us all about the festival. On the Saturday night at the Centenary Centre is Callum Stewart, the Scottish piper. I've got time for just one more track, so let's have another one from Callum, from that excellent album True North. And it's the Roddy Mercus Rant. I'll be back next week to play more great folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world, and I hope you'll join me then.